Everybody's here. Well, kind of caught me getting prepared for this lesson today. What we are doing today is our first day of brand new instruction. In the past 15 days, we've been doing all this review work where I'm not going to give you 15 more days of review work. I can't just let you do 30 days of review. Your brains are going to go to mush. So today we're going to start with lesson 24. And over the next 16 days, we're going to finish up this entire fractions unit that we should have been finishing up in school. But that's okay because you all can do it. Today is lesson 24. I can decompose and compose fractions greater than 1 to express them in various forms. Well, that's a lot of words right there. And that's what Zern wants us to do. But you know me. Mr. Westner likes to do a combination of Zern and Westner, and we call it Wern. Well, when I'm working with these various forms, what I'm really saying is I'm going to take an improper fraction, which is something like, we'll just give an example of 7 is my numerator. That's the number on top. Your numerator's on top. And over a denominator, we'll say a 5. That's a smaller number. So this is an improper fraction. It's not right because in a proper fraction, your numerator is smaller than your denominator. But in this case, our numerator of 7 is a larger number than 5. So we know it's going to be greater than 1. And when we convert this to it says various forms, that means we're going from an improper fraction to a mixed number. And in this case, it would be 1 and 2 fifths. 1 and 2 fifths. But that is just an example of how we're going to get there. All right. Well, what we're looking at here is they want you to decompose this improper fraction. And if you remember from before, this number right here, when your numerator is larger than your denominator, like we have 11 thirds, that is a improper fraction. I'm going to zoom in a little bit there. See, we've got 11 thirds right there. And this, once again, is on your homework sheet. And we want to make this a mixed number. And a mixed number has both a whole number and a fraction. Well, one way they're showing you here, so you understand what this mixed number is they said we took our 11 thirds and we broke it down into 9 thirds and 2 thirds. Well, how do we get that? Well, we remember that here we used a number line. They've got starting at 0, going all the way to 4, and they've broken down each whole into thirds. They've got 1 third, 2 thirds, 3 thirds is the same thing as 1 whole. Then we've got 4 thirds, 5 thirds, 6 thirds, or 6 thirds is the same thing as 2 wholes. And then we've got 7 thirds, 8 thirds, 9 thirds, which is 3 wholes. And then 4 wholes would actually be 12 thirds, but we didn't go all the way there, did we? We started out, we were at 11 thirds. So they just used this to show what our whole number is, 1, 2, 3, so all the way to 3. So we made it to 3 wholes, and 2 thirds are left over. So that's what they want you to do. That's the way you're showing this. Now, we're going to do problems B and C together, and you're going to watch me do that on the personal whiteboard. And you can write these answers in on your paper. And then after we get to D, all the way down here to D, I'll scroll up for D and E, I'm going to show you something I call the cowboy way. So you all will hopefully like the cowboy way. Okay. In the previous example I just showed you, the directions do say to rename each fraction as a mixed number by decomposing it into 2 parts as shown below. The model the decomposition with a number line and a number bond. Well, when we did the number line, which is what we're going to do next, you can actually use that also to show the number bond. And for the purpose of this assignment, you do not have to show me number bonds. What they wanted you to see before that a number bond would look something like we would have 9 thirds and 2 thirds, and here's our number bonds, or as Stella says, number bombs. And 11 thirds is what we started out with. That's what they want you to see. We're not going to worry about that. So when you see that in the directions, do not worry about the number bond. Okay, now let's move on to example B. 13 fourths. Well, we're going to start out by drawing our number line. So start out by drawing our number line. And we're going to start at 0. And this time with 13 fourths, we're going to go from, we're going to divide our whole numbers into fourths. So from here, 0 to 1 is, or that 1 whole is right there, and we divide it in 4, so that's going to be 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. That's 4/4 right there. Then we're going to have 5/4, 6/4, 7/4, 8/4. Sorry about that. We got a little puppy in here with us. Then we've got 9/4, 10/4, 11/4, 12/4, which is 3. And then we've got 13/4, 14/4, 15/4, 16/4, which is 4. But you know, we didn't go to 16/4. We're stopping at 13/4. So here's my 13/4 right here. So I'm going to start with 0. And how many whole numbers did I get to? I went 1, 2, 3, stopping at 3, 3 wholes. And then how many fourths were left over? That 1/4. So 13/4 equals, when I convert that to a mixed number, remember a mixed number has a whole number and a fraction, 13/4 is equal to 3 and 1/4. There's my mixed number. Improper fraction, mixed number. In our next problem, that's B, and I will give you a moment. I'll pause for a second for you to write this down if you'd like for answer B. Now we're going to move on to C. 16/5. So once again, I'm going to start out by drawing my number line. And you'll hear Stella in the background. And we start out with 0. And our next whole number is 1. But we know that we didn't divide the holes into fourths this time. This time we divided them into fifths. So I'm going to go 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5. There's 5/5 right there, or 1 whole. 6/5, 7/5, 8/5, 9/5, 10/5, or 2 wholes. And we've got 11/5, 12/5, 13/5, 14/5, 15/5, or 3 wholes. There's my 15/5. Notice I'm just skip counting by 5s because that was 10/5 right there. We had 5/5, 10/5, 15/5. Well, then I can go 16/5, 17/5, 18/5, 19/5, 20/5, or 4 wholes. But once again, we didn't go all the way to 25/5. We stopped at 16, which is right there. So I'm going to take my marker, start with 0, and how many holes? Here's where I'm ending, is at 16/5. Got 1, 2, 3, stopping there. So I've got 3 holes, and what was left over? That one little jump of 1/5. So 16/5, when I convert that to a mixed number, will be 3 and 1/5. There is using the number line method. But I'm getting ready to show you a method that my buddy Woody is going to be excited about. The cowboy method, or the cowboy way. Well, so the number line method, it takes up a little bit of paper, and it doesn't allow me to tell a really good story. Well, let me tell you about the cowboy, which maybe you remember I've talked about him before. What we have here is we've got a fraction. We've got ourselves an improper fraction. What if I tell you this story about the cowboy? Here's my cowboy. He's on his horse. There's the horse. Let's give him an ear. Give him a little bit of a mane. Oh, he needs a tail too. Then we got our cowboy up here, wearing his cowboy hat. Now, our horse doesn't have any eyes and a mouth. Well, with the cowboy, he's been out on the range all day long, and he's tired. It comes that time at night, and he's like, you know what? I've done rustled enough cattle here. I need to go ahead and go to bed. So when the cowboy goes to bed, he goes, and the cowboy sleeps inside his house. But where does that horse sleep? The horse doesn't sleep inside the house with him. I don't think that house is big enough. That door's going to be a little bit too small. The horse is going to sleep outside that house. Now this is a fraction, right, or a division problem. And this division sign right here is my house. Now all we have to do is divide. And guess what? You know, I've said your fourth graders, you get to have a remainder, and you're going to like this today. So now we're just going to practice our division. So now I've got myself division. I'm just going to go ahead and divide. Once again, this cowboy way here. I'm going to divide. How many times will 2 go into 1? What goes in there 0 times, doesn't it? Now, if I wanted, I could put my little phantom 0 by putting some dots right there to kind of show that it's there, but it's a placeholder, but it's not really there. And now I move all the way over from not from my 1, but now I'm going to look at 15 as a whole. And how many times will 2 go into 15? Well, I know because I know my 2's really well. I know that it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. 16 is too big. It goes in there 7 times, doesn't it? 7 times 2 is 14. 15 minus 14 is 1. And guess what we've got here? This is my whole number. This 1, it goes all the way around the world here. This 1 is my numerator. The 2 is my denominator. And guess what? 15 halves, when converted from an improper fraction to a mixed number, is the same thing as 7 1/2. There's our cowboy way right there. That is D right there. If you want, you can pause it. You can pause right now, but I'm going to move on to the next problem. But if you want, I'll give it a second, let you pause before I move on to our next one. All right. Now I'm erasing my board. And that's kind of an easy one because we're working with halves. But let's go ahead and the next problem, when we're looking here at E is 17 over 3, or 17 thirds. We can still do our cowboy way here. We still have our cowboy. Oh, and I wrote that. I don't get to draw my hat if I draw it up that high. So we've got 17 thirds. Now back to here. My cowboy's on top, because the cowboy rides on top of the horse, doesn't he? Cowboy rides on top of the horse. There's his hat. Here's my horse. There's his legs. Probably needs more legs than that. We'll go and give him more legs this time. Here. His mane, tail. Give him eyes and mouth. There we go. Once again, this is all this cowboy way does is show me how to set up a division problem. Because I've told you in the past, all a fraction is just a fancy division problem. So we've got 17. My cowboy goes, I'll make the house a different color this time. 17 goes in the house. It's got a red brick house. And the horse sleeps outside at night after they've been on the range all day. Once again, all we do is we do some division. Well, how many times will 3 go into 1? Well, it goes in there 0 times. This time I'm not going to put my 0 as a placeholder because I know it's just too small. 1 is smaller than 3. Well, now I'm going to say, well, how many times will 3 go into 17? Well, if I know my 3's, and I can skip count by 3's, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18's too big. So we're back down to 5. So 3 times 5 is 15. And it's going to leave me with a remainder of 2. So I've got 5 is my whole number around the world. 2 is my numerator. 3 is my denominator. And there we go. We use the cowboy way to solve this. I'm going to leave this here. You guys can once again write that in the paper for on the first side. That is page 339. 339. There is not. I did not include a problem set with this because I thought we can just go ahead and do the homework pages, and you are just going to be responsible for completing the other side, which is page 340. So your assignment is page 340. And you can use either way you like. You can use either the number line method or the cowboy way. And you just solve it. And all I want to see is I want to see you change these improper fractions to mixed numbers. That will be all. And I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Thanks and bye.